Hello and welcome back to another video. Today here again on Forza Horizon 5 with another Hot Wheels video. As promised, I'm going to be taking a first look at the Hot Wheels event lab here on Forza Horizon 5, which is a feature I've been very much looking forward to. I have gone in and given it a quick go and played around with it and built some stuff, and well, I'm going to walk you through the props and then show you what I've created so far. So, as well as the usual racing start lines to create from, you can also create from build stubs, which are kind of where there aren't races, which I again think they need to implement into the mainland, a bit like the brilliant drone mode. But basically I think these all start at jumps, so you can build off the jump with the new snappable props, which we'll get to in a second. And another thing is, these are speed and hazard circuits, not road and dirt, which I previously thought they were, which might explain why some of the dirt ones aren't all that off-roady. But anyway, I'm going to head to this build stub here and show you the props. Apparently Forza won't let me because it's very broken today. As you can see, Canyon Jump build stub is just permanently stuck to my screen now, and if I go to anything, well, I don't seem to be able to use that one. I think I can go to a different one and it might work. It does seem, though, with every expansion and update, they find unique and new ways to break the game even more. The only way to fix it seems to be to go back to the one that was stuck on the screen. That wasn't the one I was trying to go to, it was the one I was previously at. So that's the only one that works at the moment. So I'm going to load into that and show you the props. So, to begin with, it is exactly the same as the usual route builder. You go into Blueprint Builder to see all of your props, and there is now a Hot Wheels tab right at the beginning here, and as you can see, each track has many options, although I am slightly disappointed by how few props there are. It's not kind of as good as they made out, and the snappable thing only works off the jump. So I'll show you. If we take a short straight first, the only thing it will snap to is this, in which case if you're building a circuit, there's no way back round to then snap it at the other end. So it kind of means you can only do sprints unless you somehow just, I mean, you can sort of do that, which I think would still work. It would still make a nice smooth surface. But yeah, this is the feature we've been looking forward to, and it makes a very satisfying snap as it snaps together. That actually sounds like Hot Wheels track going together. Anyway, that's the snappability, which is what we've all been waiting for. As for how the tracks are split themselves, we have short straights, which are all the same length and straight, but with different twists. We then have long straights, which are the same, but longer, and the same for corners. We have short curves with different sharpnesses and cambers, and then we have long curves with the same, which is all well and good. And then we have all the junction tracks and off and on ramps, as well as many loops. The only thing I'm slightly disappointed by is none of the interesting tracks are there. We've only got orange tracks and junctions. We can't use the ice track, we can't use water flumes, and the same's true when we get into the accessories. So we have a boost pad, which is good. We have a dragon. We have a gantry, although the boost pad snaps, the dragon and gantry I found didn't. So if we put this, it sort of does. It goes level, as most props do, but you have to line it up with the sides, which is a bit irritating. The dragon's cool. And the other thing that I rather like is we now have purple versions and blue versions of the floodlight, as well as Hot Wheels barriers, flags, and flag clips, which again don't snap. But again, there's no rings of fire, there's loads of stuff missing basically, which is a little bit disappointing. Yes, the snapping thing is good, but here on Hot Wheels it's not actually great. I think it might actually be more useful over on the mainland. So anyway, what I'm going to do is quickly show you a route that I've already built here on Hot Wheels. Then I'm going to head over to the mainland and build something over there. So I've created a sprint route called Boost Loop's Leap of Death Sprint, which kind of explains what it is. It probably works in any class, to be honest. It is open to anything, this blueprint. Share code will be on screen, as it always is. As you can see, I placed a few props there. Start line, and I found out you could place lines and lines and lines of boost pads, so you can get much boost. The AI don't like that corner. It is a bit of chaos, this track, but that is kind of what I was aiming for. It is a Hot Wheels track. I obviously wouldn't recommend using this for serious racing. This is just a bit of a mad first creation to give you an idea what you can do with the Hot Wheels props. And there we go, we leap off the end into the abyss. And, this is where you get spawned when you've finished that event. The Chupan is now just part of this rock. Anyway, I think we should get away from this Hot Wheels expansion before anything else breaks, and see what the props are like on the mainland. So I actually see it as being more useful for building things here on the mainland because it has snappable props, so we can create nice smooth surfaces above the ground without having to spend hours lining up every panel of tarmac, which is how it worked before. So I can of course use all of these props in Event Lab because I have the expansion. If you don't have the expansion, you can't build using these, but you will be able to play any maps somebody like myself has built using these. So any of the maps you see today you will be able to build once they're shared, but you won't be able to build using these props. So the trick to do this is to put it just above the ground, like that. And if we exit, it should... Hang on, I might have to reset car position. I'm not sure if that's... Anyway, ignoring that for a minute, because this does work. I'm going to see if I can fix that, actually, because it's quite annoying. I think if I go and redraw, it spawns me on top of the track. There we go. Right. So, what I see it as being useful for is you put this bit down, and then you can create a way with this. And I think it would actually be quite useful for just making tracks here on the mainland. You can't fall off, which is nice, and you can't get stuck on the walls because they're already sort of there. Is there a way to flip this? I think I can drag it so the other end snaps, can't I? There we go. So, yeah, I maybe wouldn't recommend using that. That's not going to work. But what I can see myself doing with this is at some point recreating real-world tracks using this, which is a completely different thing to do. But yeah, it is brilliant. You could build your own Hot Wheels park. You could build a replica of the Horizon 3 expansion if you really wanted to. Oh, I'd better have a straight here, otherwise the start line gets unhappy. Maybe one with a... slight ramp we can put it. Anyway, you can see what sort of thing you could end up creating here. So I've built a fairly simple loop with, well, lots of different types of track. It's not a perfect loop. But the only problem I can see, which I thought of as soon as we set off, is if you're building a circuit, when you get round, you're going to have a very awkward joint. Now, I've not planned this very well. I've come in far too low here and had to sort of do that. But I don't think it's ever quite going to work. So what you might have to do is if you started, for example, with one of the junctions or off-ramps, it might work better. Or you're just going to have a slightly dodgy final joint, which isn't ideal, but look, the fact we've got snapping objects is an improvement. I mean, we need more of them, but... yeah, that's going to be a problem. I'm going to try building something else. So, after a lot of fiddling about, I've made something almost work. You can see there's a slightly dodgy join here, but it is still flat because I've kept it all at the same level. What it reminds me of, actually, is Scale Extra Track, because you kind of get all the way round and then you realise it's not quite going to work and you have to readjust the circuit, except this didn't quite work that well. Probably because I made it a bit too complex. I think if you planned it better from the start, you might be able to make it more sort of symmetrical in terms of where the corners and straights are, so that everything's the right length to link up again. I kind of started this trying to do a mirror image of Monza, basically, but very inaccurately because it's not very flexible. And then when I got round to the end, I had to sort of make it up to try and make it fit as best possible. I have had to put in some walls for these rocks, so that's potentially something to be aware of next time. But anyway, I'm going to quickly run the route and, well, see what you think. So, this is what the completed route looks like. The share code will be up on screen somewhere, complete with dragon props and everything. So, yeah, it's not all that great, but it gives you an idea of what a track made entirely out of Hot Wheels track on the mainland would look like. One thing that's slightly irritating is when you're on this side of the map, the mountain disappears. Probably because it's not expected to have to render that bit in if you're this far away, because you should be a lot lower down and not able to see it. But yeah, that's slightly irritating. Apart from that though, it's nice and smooth. The walls are nice and smooth, so I can see this being quite useful. I might try building one at some point down the line down nearer the ground, so we don't have this irritating disappearing backdrop. But anyway, there you go, that's a lap of my not very good Monza. So there we go, that is going to do it for a first look at the new Hot Wheels Events Lab props and tools here on Forza Horizon 5. I am slightly disappointed by how few there are, by the fact we don't have the ice tracks, the water flumes, and rings of fire and things like that. Some of the more fun parts of the Hot Wheels expansion we can't use to create our own maps. The snapping itself isn't actually as good as I was expecting. I don't know quite what I did expect, but the fact you can only snap to the ends of Hot Wheels tracks like that kind of works, but is kind of irritating. And it's almost impossible to make a circuit, because when you come back round, lining things up isn't ever going to quite work unless you've planned it super carefully. Then there is a possibility you could make one work, a simple loop or something. So yeah, the snapping's not as good as it could have been, and there aren't as many props as I would have hoped for, but the snapping is still better than not snapping at all, which brings me on to another point, which is, if they can do that, why can't they implement the snapping together on all props? And why has it not been in the game since release? So that is still an update to Event Lab that I hope to see at some point, more snapping objects, but I kind of doubt that's going to happen, which is a shame. So I think we're stuck with the system we've got, although the snapping together Hot Wheels tracks, I do think I can still make a few more, hopefully better than that one, replicas of real-world tracks going forwards, and with a flat track made of Hot Wheels track, I think you could make some quite good circuits for racing, if you just accept that sometimes there will be one dodgy joint somewhere to make everything line up. But there we go, those are my first thoughts on the Hot Wheels Event Lab, and a couple of tracks I've built here on the Hot Wheels world and over on the mainland. So go and give those a go if you think they looked fun, but otherwise that is going to be all for today's video. Let me know if you've enjoyed this one, because I do love making stuff in Events Lab, so would quite like to make some more tracks going forward. But let me know what style of tracks you like, and what kind of thing you might like me to build in the future. But for now, that is going to be all, so thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with the next video very soon.